part in our course, we really looked a lot about how marketers can really better understand the needs of their consumers to better meet those needs and therefore sell their products better. One of the key strategies is market segmentation, which is dividing broad consumer base instead of putting it all together, as mass marketing does, into smaller, more manageable groups based on the characteristics of said group. It really helps marketers to identify those specific needs of the consumers. It's based on demographics, geographics, socioeconomics, behavior, physicographics, and the benefits of segmentation, demographic segmentation. It's one of the most common ways that a marketer will decide to divide up that market, and it relies on really easily accessible data, a lot of physical data you can see, and sometimes a little bit of internal data that you can't see. It focuses on characteristics like age, gender, ethnic background, and the family life cycle. It provides a lot of good predictions about potential consumer behavior. When we look at age, younger generations, such as Gen Z are particularly love to be on the computer, TikTok, Instagram. This is very different for those who may be in the older generations. Millennials. The NBA utilizes social media very well in order to target younger audiences with their advertising and their merchandise marketing, and even for ticketing, and utilizes shorts or highlight reels to generate larger audiences, specifically towards younger generations like Gen Z, using TikTok. Jared McCain is one of the biggest NBA TikTokers out there, and he's managed to gain such a large following, which has also generated a lot of retention for the NBA. Another big one is ethnic background, as different religions will have different interests in different sports, and you may have to tailor this. Have geographic segmentation. Marketers divide their consumers based on their location, country, region, city, and even the climate. It's really powerful to help marketers to predict what kind of products and services will be very trendy in specific areas. The NHL and hockey are very, very successful in colder climates like Canada and may not appeal as much to hotter climates like Jamaica. Nike also uses geographic segmentation to promote their running shoes. In warmer climates like Florida, they would highlight breathable and light clothing. And then in the colder climates and regions, Nike would promote their jackets, their waterproof materials. They have socioeconomic segmentation, which is based on characteristics of income, education, and occupation. And it basically predicts what a consumer will be interested in based on their socioeconomic status. For instance, expensive sports like golf will appeal more to wealthier consumers rather than less wealthier consumers. High-end golf brands like Callaway, they market their high-priced products to wealthier consumers. Behavioral segmentation focuses on how a consumer behaves based on their interactions with products and looks at brand loyalty, purchases, and the size of purchases, and this helps with identifying behavior patterns. The Raptors have a loyalty program offers where they give early ticket access to their most loyal fans and offer season tickets to foster those long-term relationships. Psychographic segmentation focuses on the specific lifestyles and interests and personalities, and specifically the values of consumers. VALS is an important part, which stands for values, attitudes, and lifestyles, which helps marketers to understand those psychological within the consumer. For example, someone who enjoys high-risk sports is going to appeal to Red Bull's extreme marketing, which deals a lot with consumers who value adventure and excitement. The final one is benefit segmentation, which divides the market based on the specific benefits consumers seek to look from the product. For example, Planet Fitness uses the benefit segmentation as a low-cost gym, a judgment-free zone, where they focus on the emotional and social benefits of going to the gym. There are multiple fan motivators we've discussed, but 4 of them stood out to me. The first is Burging, which is essentially fans associate themselves with team success and feel like they're a part of the victory. And the Raptors won the championship, and I was at home watching the game with my family, and even though I wasn't actually there at the game, I still felt like I had won as well. Corfing, which happens when a fan disassociates themselves from a team after a really negative event or experience or loss. I remember feeling very upset when Kevin Durant got injured. Fans were still clapping and cheering, and it made me feel kind of ashamed to be from Toronto, which kind of sucked. So I distanced myself from the Raptors for a bit after that. Eustress, which refers to the excitement and adrenaline rush that many fans feel when watching the games and sporting events, comes from positive stress. And at one of our games, when I was playing in high school, one of my friends had a halftime buzzer beater, and I was very overwhelmed with joy and glory and excitement. And finally, that aesthetic value is about the beauty or the visual appeal of sport. I love attending the Raptors games wearing team jerseys because it's designed very attractively and aesthetically pleasing, and it adds to the overall value of my experience when I go to the games. So the sport market is a very unique environment. So first, sport operates within a very highly dynamic and unpredictable environment, and none of it is scripted like movies and concerts where you know what's going to happen. Anything can really happen. The outcome of a game can change in a split second and result in an injury or uncertain weather condition. Part of this is what really keeps fans on their seat and ready to buy tickets and watch games. When the Raptors were on their winning spree, nobody thought they would win in 2019. It was one of the greatest marketing opportunities for sport ever. Because of this, there are also a bunch of factors including the success and attendance of sporting events, which is a pretty long list. There are multiple different avenues where sport can be consumed, which can be done both tangibly and intangibly. Some fans can attend the live events, buy the physical tickets, the merchandise, and really invest themselves in that sport environment. Or they can watch games on TV or online, or they can broadcast, or they can stream. This creates multiple different types of consumers unique to sport, gives them many opportunities to market to these different consumers. Marketers have to balance these tangible and intangible aspects when creating their events, a role in whether fans choose to come back or how they consume sport. Selling that experience is key and unique to sport. For example, Old Trafford is known as the Theatre of Dreams, not just because of Manchester United's success, but because of the electric atmosphere and the rich history and the complete fan experience that the stadium offers. It's what makes sport consumption so unique compared to other industries. Unique to sport is the relation between spectators and participants. In many cases, people who watch sports don't necessarily participate in the actual sport, and this requires very distinct and specific marketing to these specific individuals. Fans of Formula One may never have even driven a regular car, but still deeply invested in that sport. On the other hand, sports like running or cycling or even basketball have a much closer relationship between spectators and participants because many people both watch and play the sport. So there are varying levels of participation versus consumption of the product. Specifically, Figure 5.1 makes sport a very distinct industry. Another unique aspect in sports is the massive influence that stakeholders like athletes have on the purchasing decisions of consumers. Fans don't always buy products because of their feature. They buy them because their favorite athletes actually endorse them. So when Michael Jordan signed his deal with Nike to create the Air Jordan brand, it wasn't just about the shoes. It was about Jordan himself. Persona, process, his image, and his name, his nil. A single endorsement can shift millions of dollars of sales based on the brand's relationship to an athlete. Lastly, there's a huge emotional connection between sports and its consumers. Sports aren't just about winning or losing, it's about loyalty and community. All comes from the motivations we discussed earlier. Examples, the Winnipeg Jets, how in 1996 they were relocated to Phoenix, leaving the city of Winnipeg without an NHL team. An emotional bond was so strong that the Jets finally returned in 2011. However, these emotions can sometimes have negative outcomes, and a prime example is the malice at the Palace incident in 2004. A fan went overboard and threw a drink at Ron Artest. It shows the strength of emotional intensity unique to sport. Sports and movies, plays, and concerts are all sources of entertainment. There's unique aspects of sport that make it different. Sports are very unpredictable. As I mentioned before, you never know what's going to happen. It's unscripted. NBA Finals, Cavaliers up 3-1, but lost the championship. Sport has a real-time aspect to it and is also known as the truest form of reality. In watch sports, we're living in the moment, and they offer an experience that is immediate and happening in real time. 2018 FIFA World Cup, watching France dominate was millions of people all at the same time. As well, sports have a expected level of physical performance that audience really like. Athletes like Serena Williams and Coco Gauff inspire millions with their physical and mental strength. Concerts require talent, they don't push the physical boundaries the same way as sports do. Sports also impact cultural identity and pride, something that's rarely seen in movies and concerts. Sports are a reflection of community values and cultural pride. The Rugby World Cup, where the New Zealand All Blacks came dominant team but a symbol of pride for New Zealander. As well, the 2019 Toronto Raptors championship win. It's one of the largest moments in national pride for Canadians in history. With unlike athletes or musicians, athletes are usually served as huge role models, especially for upcoming athletes. Prime example is LeBron James, who not only dominated the NBA, but has been very impactful in social justice, education, as well as Kobe Bryant, who has had a huge impact with his Mamba Academy. Finally, there are a lot of high risk associated with athletes when it comes to sport. Athletes always risk their body every time they step onto the field or onto the court, making the athletes both a product and a service. Unique to sport, for example, in the 2012 Summer Olympics, Usain Bolt achieved a historic victory, but with every race, there is a risk of injury. The Niagara River Lions seem to be very effective in gathering intelligence. They engage with a bunch of fans across many different social media platforms, collecting data for ticket sales, even surveys. Adapted very well to their external environments in the COVID-19 pandemic, which they switched to online too. However, what I think they could improve is the coordination of their data. It doesn't seem to be specific enough, like we were talking about marketing segmentation in the beginning. This includes families and students. Who are they actually marketing to? Regarding intelligence decimation, which involves sharing the information gathered in the gathering stage, River Lions utilize social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, constantly sharing their updates, promotions, and new teams, polls, giveaways, and offering a lot of information sharing options to fans. They've also been very successful with their community outreach programs with school visits, basketball clinics, V3 tournaments, one of which I volunteered at. In 2023, the River Lions announced that they would team up to show appreciation to local businesses who make up the backbone of the Niagara community, and one of them was the local business of the game, presented by Meridian. However, I think the River Lions could do more to share their insights with their corporate sponsors, showing more detailed breakdowns of fan engagement reports, which help to target their marketing opportunities. And regarding responsiveness, which is the actionable part of market research, the River Lions have shown that they are somewhat responsible to community needs by organizing events such as Fan Appreciation Night. At these events, they get to hear feedback from their fans, what they need to do better to meet their needs. However, the River Lions can improve by creating new services based on the data that they have. They could focus on student discount packages or exclusive fan memberships to show they are utilizing and want to help their fans. They could adopt dynamic pricing. They could also try to market beyond locals. The River Lions are very successful in Niagara, but they could extend beyond St. Catharines, and this could significantly increase their ticket sales, pricing, and overall success. Pink and shrink it? What is it? The way that sports teams would cater to female fans, they just assumed that if we just make our merch smaller and make it pink, women will automatically like it. That wasn't the case, and women actually felt excluded and weren't seen as actual stakeholders for sport. As time passed, this idea has changed and developed. Here are a couple ways. For one, merchandise has evolved with teams offering very gender-specific jerseys that are not just pink, they are shaped for women, but still have the same colors men's jerseys do. With the NFL's full line of women's jersey and full team colors, respecting women as core fans. Sport organizations have really been focusing more on the women's sports leagues in general as essential part of their brand and the sporting world. U.S. women's national soccer team has a lot of massive attention and respect, especially since the World Cup victories and their fight for gender pay. The WNBA has been equally as active in social justice, also fighting for equal pay. And overall, there's just been a huge surge of campaigns and initiatives focused on female athletes. Nike has the Dream Crazier campaign focusing on Serena Williams and Simone Biles, utilizing them as role models for future athletes. The NBA has created the Her Time to Play initiative, which connects with young girls and looking for female answers in basketball. While there has been progress, the sports is lacking in some areas, such as the representation of women in leadership positions. And 10% of these positions are held by women. There's truly a lack of women's voices in the sport industry. And not only that, there needs to be more representation of minorities at this level. Outliers being Natalie Nakas, who has become the first WNBA American head coach. The coverage is still lacking when it comes to women. Only a fraction of media is delegated to women. Same goes for facilities for female athletes. There's discrepancies with the quality and space. A huge controversy in the 2021 NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. While merchandise offerings have increased, some organizations still rely too much on gender stereotypes, that well-fitted apparel. They don't think too much about women coming in different sizes, especially with the recent increase in interest for women's sport. For women, there just really seems to be a low merchandise availability. Manufacturers haven't really been able to keep up. The contingency model was originally developed for managers who wanted to be responsive to the complexities of their organization and the changing environments in which they operate. So this model allows sport managers to adapt to its dynamic aspects and still be able to capitalize on sport and prosper in difficult situations. There are a couple sections within the contingency model, beginning with internal contingencies. These are organization's vision, mission, and culture, objectives, goals, and strategies. So it makes the organization what it is. The Chicago Bulls during the 1990s is a very good example. Their internal mission was to build a championship dynasty around Michael Jordan, but made sure that every marketing decision that they made focused on that mission, promoted Jordan, promoted the team, and builded them into a franchise. But the internal aspects of the organization have to be able to adapt to the external environment, also known as external contingencies, which involve factors like competition, technology, demographics, culture, physical environment, economy, and legal/political implications. COVID-19 was a big example of that. The whole sporting industry had to completely flip its operations to continue generating revenue, despite the new legal and political implications they had. Now we get to the strategic sports marketing process, which begins with planning. The first step is understanding consumer needs, and it involves market research and audience analysis. What do they actually need? Consider consumers as both participants and spectators. An example is the Toronto Raptors We the North campaign. It was launched in around 2014 after research showed that Raptors fans and Canadians felt disconnected from NBA culture as a dominantly American league. And it came together to allow Canadians to really embrace their identity and the wallets. You have market selection decisions, which involves target segmentation, target market, and positioning. So it's really about determining which consumer segments to target and identifying their specific needs. For example, is the NBA's expansion to China following Yao Ming's entrance into the league into the early 2000s. They launched a bunch of initiatives after discovering China's huge passion for sport, turning it into one of the league's biggest markets. Then you have the marketing mix decisions, which involves the sports product, the pricing, promotion, the place. How is this product going to be presented? For example, the NBA's City Edition jerseys are used to reflect the unique identity of their city, trying to appeal to the fan experience. These items are usually priced as premium items. Finally, you have implementation and control, which is about putting the strategy into action in the esports world with the Overwatch League. After launch, success of the league had to be monitored, specifically with variables of fan engagement, viewership numbers, and sponsorship interest. The diversion from everyday life factor impacts fan attendance in a very positive direction. This can be demonstrated by my favorite team, the Golden State Warriors. So after a long day working, there's no better way to unwind than a basketball game. For many fans, the evening games are a form of post-work entertainment where they relax, try and de-stress, drink a couple beers, leave work behind in their past. It allows room for positive stress, the eustress. The Warriors do this very well in creating that exciting atmosphere. And then you have the actual experience at the game. The Warriors have such a fun-packed, entertaining game with other aspects like games, music, light shows, surveys, and my personal favorite, the halftime show. Incredible performances. of dancers, which is something that's always attracted me. We do need to get a mascot though. Finally, it's the star players. A huge reason for the high attendance at Warriors games. See Steph Curry shoot, especially when the Warriors play the rivals like the Cavaliers, Boston. Key matchups that generate excitement and leads to the creation of that divergence. Packed arenas. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.